That's exciting.
Isn't that cool? I got that from the last organizer, previous organizer. He gave it to me.
Yeah, you wouldn't have gotten it if I was the previous organizer. I would have been keeping it.
I think it was just like his way of like, here you go, do it. It's gonna be great. And it is.
That is kind of amazing how that is going so well nationally, I think. You know, like ours here in Columbia, and they've done a good job of handing it off, and but also, you know, a team approach, and it's pretty cool. And they keep it sustained.
Yeah, that is an inspiring thing to see for me as well. Like a weekly event is, you know, a week comes up really quick all of a sudden. It's like, it's another week. And it's challenging to make sure it's great every single week sometimes. And that was surprising to me. And it's great to see all the other communities doing it. And we've still got it going online and all that.
Yeah.
Oh, Katie's outside. I'm very jealous. I should probably go outside.
A patio was very important in, you know, having in a new place.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Can you guys hear the birds?
Can.
Yes.
That's nice.
Victor, if you have an opportunity, can you share me as the host?
All right, I will do that.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, and at some point, are you guys going to share hosting with me so that I can share my screen?
Yeah, I'll make you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hey, can you guys remind me, because everybody does it just slightly differently, how much time do I have for my presentation? Okay. Got it. Thank you. Easy.
Wait, Zucky, I think I made you host, so now you're going to have to make him host.
Okay.
You can also add me as co-host, then we can split responsibilities.
I can add you as co-host.
Yeah.
So now everyone should be able to see my screen.
I can.
There we go. And
Love it.
Participants. I've made you a co-host. And I need you to do the same for Spence, don't I? For Sean?
When the time comes, certainly for me to show my PowerPoint.
Yep.
Yeah, so you will be able to just grab the screen at that point, Sean. And am I supposed to record this?
It's already recording.
All right, there we go. I figured it was, but I just wanted to double check.
So that means everyone should be on their best behavior.
That's correct.
So now that they're recording, no one wants to talk. They don't want to be recorded.
Right?
Really don't want to say anything weird.
Yeah, you
Now
know,
I'll never speak.
When we were creating the first telethon, I was doing all these tryouts and trying out the technology. And so I had the camera running on my computer. And one time I forgot about it over that, 2 or 3 day period that I was testing it. And I forgot.
Oh,
and
no.
The camera was on for like 2 hours sitting in my lap. And like my wife came in, and then we talked about a friend that I was mad at. And we had a fairly long conversation about that. And it was all being broadcast to Facebook.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, because we were trying the streaming platform. And so it was being broadcast to, fortunately, a private site, a private page on Facebook. And people could have seen it, but I'm pretty sure nobody did. And she's still my friend, so it worked out okay. But my wife was super paranoid. She's like, oh my God, you've got to get that down. They're going to hate us forever. And it was tough.
That's a challenge.
Yes, it really was.
And then also having not having I have a webcam with a shutter on it, because it's like really easy for Zoom to be able to like, oh, the video's on now, right? And then it's like, wait, not now.
Yeah.
So it's just like, it's nice to have the mechanical thing that's just like, no, not now.
That's true. I used to use that. I haven't been in a while. I used to. They're useful.
My primary computer now is just an iPad, so I don't have as many options. And I'll also tell you that like the Zoom functionality, like I can't split screen with anything with Zoom on my iPad, and it like freezes my video if I navigate away from Zoom. So
Yes.
like even if I like the iPad I can like have something like slide over part of the screen so I can like take notes or whatever, but it still freezes my video, which is I think weird, but
That
Yeah.
is really interesting that you're using your iPad though. I mean, I always hear about people who do that. I don't know very many. Are you happy with it mostly?
yeah, I mean, I love it. You know, prior to this, I found that I was working, you know, I would use my work computer for like some of the things I couldn't do on my iPad, but otherwise, like I can do almost everything on my iPad.
Yes.
But now that I don't work there anymore, now I'm like, okay, does having an iPad as my primary device actually work? You know, or so I'm still in the exploratory phase.
Yeah.
I did
this
that
is
quite
interesting
a
what we're
while
talking
too.
about today with my virtual telethons, I could theoretically, it would be painful probably, but I could run my telethons on my iPhone.
Wow. Yep.
I could run my entire company really on my iPhone.
Right. Yep. Yeah. I mean, I built my websites on my iPad, like using a combination of the Squarespace app, and there are certain settings with Squarespace you can't do from the app. You have to do from a browser, which is really weird.
Yeah.
But so like sometimes I'd have to like switch back and forth between that. But otherwise, like I was able to do a lot more than I thought.
Well, that is cool.
Soon we'll be able to run our businesses and start them from our watches.
Oh God. For old
good.
guys like me, you're killing me.
I'm a late adopter, so I'm not as up on all the newfangled technology like my other peers of my age group, or even of other age groups.
Yeah. I'm with you though on that. I for a guy who is CEO of 2 technology companies, I'm not nearly as an early an adopter as I probably should be.
You're not alone. A lot of the CEOs that I have worked with in the past, or other C-suite executives, aren't very up on technology. They rely on the rest of their team to do it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I was told by one that he didn't really want to be cutting edge because that means he'd have mistakes made and he'd have to spend time doing that, and he'd rather wait for it to become standard than use it then.
Well, you know, there is some merit to that, and given what his skill set probably was, it might have been the best way for him to go. But fortunately for all of us, it's not the way everybody goes.
Yeah, he was a banker, so
Oh yeah, they're always.
he's like, I don't need to do that. I've got a rotary phone. I think he probably still has a rotary phone at home.
Yeah.
So we are sitting here with a few new people that have just come in. Zachary's here, Ryan's here, Rahul's here, Brad's here. Welcome aboard, everyone. Say hi if you want to.
Morning.
Morning, everyone.
Morning.
Hey, morning. How you guys doing?
Good.
Good morning. We're glad you're here.
Yes.
We
I
can
hope
see
every-
people.
Seems like gray is the color of the day, though. That's what I'm noticing across everybody's screens. There's not a lot of color represented. That's funny.
Katie, I'm bringing the white to the table, so.
It's true. But, you know, oh yeah, I guess Leif has a little bit of blue, but otherwise we're fairly monochromatic today.
Yes.
Shades of gray.
And my shirt actually is blue. It's just that, and here at the collective, it appears gray. I think we'll give everyone a few more minutes and then we'll hop on. Does that sound good to you guys?
Yep.
Just in case we get a few last minute stragglers. We don't want to lose too many people. that might
Where's
wanna hop on.
everybody located? Could we go around and say that?
Kansas City here.
Casey.
2 from KC. Katie, you're here in
Nice.
Seattle, right?
Yeah, I'm here in Seattle. I'm in Lower Queen Anne, so near the Space Needle.
I'm in Queen Anne as well. I'm over by Inner Bay though.
Oh,
Columbia, Missouri.
nice.
I'm in Seattle. I'm by Green Lake.
Oh, Green Lake. I'm just north of you in Northgate.
Okay.
Who was that? Sorry, I can't see gallery view on my iPad. That's the other bummer.
I was just Rahul Vasisht.
Oh, awesome. Hi.
I'm in Seattle, but I live by Green Lake.
Nice.
Green Lake's beautiful area.
It is.
We like it.
I'm in Tempe, Arizona.
Nice.
Oh, we are very national today. I love
This
it.
is awesome. Yeah.
Mhm.
We're spreading our community. I love it.
Victor's here as well. He's here someplace in Seattle maybe, but he might be on the road. I'm not sure.
You
where
might
he's
not
from.
be in Seattle. San Jose.
Jose.
Jeez.
Oh, dang. Fun.
It sounds like California. All the sand.
Fantastic.
Well, unless you get to San Juan's.
Oh, that's true. Or Antonio's.
Yep.
90 degrees, Victor. Heaven forbid. Melt.
No doubt. Well, I moved here from Augusta, Georgia last year, and we would average about 20 days over 100 degrees a year. It's pretty warm there, so I don't
Humidity
feel like
too, right?
yes, you just don't even want to go outside. So, but it's a beautiful place, but you have to do everything early in the morning. Cut your lawn at 7:30, or otherwise you're just gonna be in trouble. So.
The nice thing in Arizona is you get shamed for having a lawn for the water usage, so that there's no lawn to cut. So there's nothing to do in the morning other than go inside.
Arizona, I don't know about that. There's not enough lawn shame in Arizona.
There's not enough. There's
not
still plenty.
enough. My cousin moved there about 15 years ago, and the first thing her husband did was get rid of the yard and put rocks down.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to deal with it. He says, I just don't want to have anything to do with that.
Understandable.
Well, I think maybe we should get going. What do you guys think?
Sure.
We got a thumbs up from Leif, the whole team out here. Okay, everyone. Well, welcome to 1 Million Cups. I'm Eric. I'll be your guide today as we get going. So since you've been here watching a bit, I'd love for you to download the app and check in a bit, or check us out on social media. And just remember that we're here every single Wednesday at 9 a.m. and that you'll be able to communicate with us. If you don't want to be video seen or heard, you can type in some comments into the chat and we will take a look at those as time goes on. Let's see. There we go. So what is this 1 Million Cups about? Well, we're all about having a supportive community of entrepreneurs, and we do this by sharing and offering help and asking for help and just really being a team that tries to let the entrepreneurial spirit grow in the Seattle area. We differ because from other type of entrepreneurial, I guess, groups or meetups, in that we're not about pitching and trying to make money here. We're all about presenting. We're all about meeting people with the same kind of ideals that we have and seeing what's out there. And we're also a community that is run by a community of volunteers. And one of the key things that this community does is we try to include everybody. So, we're going to be radically and intentionally inclusive. So come on in, bring your friends, bring everyone you want. Let's go. This is happening all across the country, 5 time zones. I know you're thinking there's only 4, but Anchorage, Alaska, they have a group, and they are going to be meeting at 11 a.m. or at 12 at I guess at 10 our time. So coming up soon. So this happens all over the country. A lot of people involved, attendees and volunteers every single Wednesday, trying to make coffee drive entrepreneurship in America. And we do this because we want people to learn. We want them to come out like ready to go. And we want them to find other people that they can talk to and work things out with. It's a fantastic way to go. So we hope that you enjoy the 1 Million Cups community. We do have a few people that we should thank. we have some sponsors, Seattle Strong Coffee and A Small Studio. They help us keep things going during the year, especially when we're at the collective doing in person. But there's also a small group of community volunteers here. And you see there's 5 of us, and I think that 3 of us are on today. This is fantastic. But you see there's space for more. So if you would like to get involved, please contact us. All we're looking for is someone who wants to learn something new, wants to help out, and has the ability to be consistent and try to improve something that we're doing at this time. Today, what you're going to see, and this is how we've been doing it recently, is a little bit of coffee and conversation to start off, but then a 6-minute presentation by our guest speaker today, which will be Sean. Afterwards, we'll have about 20 minutes of Q&A. When that ends, we're going to go and do some breakout rooms, which you'll be put into a small group of 2 or 3 people, and you'll have an opportunity to chat about whatever you have on your mind for the day. So lots to think about, lots to talk about in the world, so bring it. As we're watching the presentation, please be sure that if you want to participate, you can raise your hand. Go ahead and raise your hand. The only people who can't, I think, are us that are hosting. So we can't raise our hand, but what'll happen is I'll call you and unmute you and let you, or you can unmute yourself, but I'll call you when your turn comes up, okay? So as you want to ask questions. You can also ask via chat if you'd like. So don't hesitate if you don't want to really speak up, but you still have a question, send me a chat message and I'll shoot that out as a question for you. So that being said, I'd like to introduce to you Sean Spence from Better Nonprofits. Sean, if you can take hold of the screen.
I can, thank you.
You might have to turn off your screen, Zucky.
I'm going to
make him allow it.
Stop share.
Okay, it's working. Here we go. PowerPoint. Play from the start. Here we go. Hi, I'm Sean Spence. I'm CEO. It is 11:13. I have until 11:19. I am CEO of Armchair Telethon, which is really a subdivision, I guess, of Better Nonprofits. And it is a fast growth startup company that is just going nuts over the last few months. And we're having a great time. And I think we're going to raise an awful lot of money for charity and build a strong for-profit company. It is the 100% online, easy for you fundraiser. Never leave your armchair. And what we do is we create virtual telethons. So for those who may be younger, maybe don't know, it is exactly like the telethon that many of us grew up with when we were kids, the Jerry Lewis telethon, the Miracle Children's Network telethon, bringing together lots and lots of entertainers and then interspersing in between those entertainers and throughout information about whatever the charity is and putting in lots of asks for money from people so that people are getting entertained and they're also understanding a problem and they're getting opportunities to give. And in the old model, people could call in and make their pledge or pay with a credit card or whatever. And in this case, it's all online. So all they have to do is give online. Incredibly powerful for fundraising, incredibly powerful for nonprofit marketing and getting the word out about what you're doing. And we can talk about that more in the Q&A if you would like. And we'll get a little bit more to it. So the problem is nonprofits need to raise money. They need to get their message out. They need to do it less expensively. We do all of those things. And an important thing for you to understand, especially anybody here who's got fundraising experience, anybody who might have been a professional fundraiser, is there are some very unique things that honestly I would not have believed, certainly not 3 months ago. But had I not seen it, I wouldn't believe it. I have seen it, so I do believe it. And it's not about me being smarter and so I invented this thing or whatever. It's really that I'm leveraging the power of the internet and the way that's evolved, the way information and entertainment is consumed now, and the evolution and the fast track of how that's changing, and then the evolution of nonprofit, well, not nonprofit, but online purchasing, and then making nonprofit donations. So those things are the just unstoppable fast trains that are making this possible. Now, COVID highlighted that and made it recognizable, but it doesn't have anything to do with COVID. And whether COVID lasts for a month or 2 years or whatever it is honestly irrelevant to us. So our solution is we create virtual telethons. I just explained what that is. I think they're here to stay because of the trends that I was just explaining. And honestly, this is something that is a big deal for nonprofits. Every nonprofit in the country is either going to, in 3 to 5 years, will either have a telethon or they'll be trying to figure out how to do one. Every event planner in the country is going to either be doing telethons or trying to figure out how to do them. It's going to be ubiquitous as any other fundraising technique. So our primary market is nonprofit organizations, but there are also some other verticals, and in the event that you want to talk about that, we can. Our business model is very, very simple. We charge a fee. And it says to nonprofits, but that has evolved even since I made this 2 weeks ago, was when I made this PowerPoint. We charge a fee for whoever it is that hires us, which they pay us, and then the money is raised separately from that fee. And that all works really well. I'm happy to go into details about that, tell you what the fee is if you care, whatever it is, I'm happy to talk about it. And we have increasing virality, which part of that is if we have a telethon in a city, then I have more business than I can do. And it's really kind of amazing because the people who see it immediately get it, right? The professionals who see it and they're running their nonprofits and whatever, they get it immediately once they've been through it. And seriously, I have more business than I can do in that locality. We're currently, and we've only been selling for 3 or 4 weeks. We're in 4 states now. I mean, it's nuts. We have a small first mover advantage, which will not last long. It'll maybe last 3 to 6 months. I think probably closer to 3. We have proprietary processes that we're trying to get patented, and I don't know if we're going to be able to do that or not. Process patents are hard to get. I have this huge national network, and I built an incredible advisory board. And if you want to talk about that, that's kind of a cool thing. You know, I've got a 4-star general. I've got somebody who's got George Clooney's cell phone. I mean, it's just kind of cool. And an amazing team that we're building. We're building a truly virtual company that is designed to be able to employ Katie if she wants to, anybody if she wants to. Anybody should be able to work for us wherever they live. They should be able to work on their back balcony with the pretty sun coming down. And that's what we're trying to build. And so far it's going really well, but you know, we're just getting started. We'll hit some big roadblocks, I'm sure. Today there's little or no truly national competition. There will be. It's just going to cost most people who do this more money because I have learned and taught myself and created a few things that allow me to, for example, do a nonprofit or telethon there in Seattle. I could do one. Within 3 to 5 years, everybody's going to be doing it. We talked about that. Financial analysis, run rate should hit 30,000 by August 1st. I actually am thinking, based on what we're seeing now, that it's going to be much more than that. I don't think we're going to have to do fundraising. I may choose to for some personal reasons that, again, we can discuss if people are interested. Here are a few questions that someone might ask if they really knew that they wouldn't ask unless they knew, and I'm giving them to you because they could be interesting and someone may want to ask one of these things. So, you know, for example, I have MS. You wouldn't know to ask about that unless you knew it. Why one MC? You know, what can you guys do for me? What problems should we prepare for as we build a virtual company? That's something I love to discuss because there's lots of stuff I got to figure out, although it is going well. We do need introductions to nonprofits, and that's a double favor because if you introduce us to a nonprofit, then it's going to help us and they're going to be happy you did, because I talk to very few nonprofits, whether I know them or not, have no connection, very few that don't hire us. And then, you know, what sort of companies might we want to partner with? Certainly Facebook and Google, but you know, what other kinds of companies might we be looking to partner with? That's me. Thank you, 1 million cups. I love you. I think that's pretty much 6 minutes. And on we go to Q&A. Thank you.
Thanks a ton. That was great. And Leif's already got his hand up. So send it to Leif to start us.
My real hand. That was wonderful. It was so on time.
Thank you.
It's hard to do, I understand.
I'm a little OCD about that.
Yeah, and it's perfectly good because you can always complete the conversation afterwards, right? So what I wanted to first learn something from you, which was, how did you build your advisory board? I think finding people like that is fascinating, and building a strong support team. How
You're
did
the
that go?
first person, Leif, to ask me that. I've been wanting somebody to ask me because it's a great question that applies to every single person who's listening to this. All right, here's the deal. One of it doesn't necessarily apply to everybody because it is a unique thing. I've had a unique career that started in politics, that is involved doing national business in a variety of ways, including my own businesses. I'm a serial entrepreneur, and I've collected people, right? I mean, we all do collect people to some extent, but I'm a huge collector of people. And then because I've crossed paths with lots and lots of amazing people, I've got like a 4-star general on my advisory board, and I've got a guy who is one of the main people in charge of marketing the very first laptop, and he was a part of the Netscape IPO. And I've got somebody, like I said, who has George Clooney's cell phone, and he'll actually answer if she calls, and people like that, right? But whether you've got that or not is irrelevant. You know people, and you know people who could help you, and you know people who can help you in different places, and whether it's in your community or all over the country or whatever, it just depends on what your need is. And the short answer is ask, right? Ask people to help you. And that is the most powerful thing. Benjamin Franklin said, if you want to make a friend, don't do a favor, ask for a favor. And I am a compulsive asker. I ask for a lot of stuff. My friends all know that. If you're going to be my friend, even if you didn't realize you were my friend, you're getting asked for stuff. And it's almost always going to be stuff that might be interesting for you, right? They're going to be involved in this company, or they're going to be involved in some nonprofit event that I did, or whatever. And so I ask a lot. I'm a creator of things, of lots of community things, events and weird things. I broke a world record and had people involved in that. That involved like 500 people. I tried to break a world record 10 years ago, where I got over 1,000 people dressed up in superhero costumes, and that did not succeed, but it was an amazing party, right? So do things and ask people to help you. That's it. And then ask them again, and then ask them again, right? And so I called the 4-star general, who I knew from my Rotary Club, and I knew him a little bit, and we'd had some interactions, and I once had asked him out to coffee, and we went to coffee, and then I called him for this, and I've got the guy who used to be he used to be the adjutant general for the Air Force, right? He was the highest ranking attorney in the Air Force. And it's just because I happen to know him, and because I got warmed up to him, and I got to know him, and because I took the time to ask him for stuff. That's it.
It's so simple.
It is. And everybody here can do that today.
It's interesting that there's a very similar feedback we received last week from our presenter, who also says you should ask people, and you already probably know the people around you or in your network or through other people.
Yep.
Very powerful insight. Thank you.
Excellent.
Very loose connection. Like, I've asked politicians for all kinds of stuff, right? City council, right? People who will actually maybe listen. Now in Seattle, that's a little bit different, but because maybe they've got 500,000 people or whatever it is in their group. But still, there are all kinds of politicians who are closer to you. And so there are all kinds of people that you can get stuff from who will help you, and then will know you and will be more likely to say yes next time they help you because they invested in you the first time.
Really good point.
Wonderful.
Katie, it's your turn.
Well, thanks, John, for sharing such a fun idea. I have a nonprofit background. I've like worked in nonprofits, support a lot of nonprofits. But I think so I've got probably a million questions. But on this advisory board theme, I think I've kind of got a 2-part question, piggybacking off of Leif's ask. You have a very impressive background. You have a lot of confidence. I don't know that all of us share that same level of confidence. I don't know where everybody's at in terms of their level of, like, with their business, but I know that's something I struggle with. And I hear this from other entrepreneurs too, is this notion of like not wanting to like think, already kind of presupposing that people are going to say no. So
Right.
I'm curious if you have any advice for us on like advice or even just examples of like, how do you do that ask? Like, what do you ask? Like, especially from an advisory board piece, like what do you have to tell them in order to get them on your advisory board?
Yep.
Right. So that's my first part of my question. But I do have another question if we want to kind of circle back after that.
Okay. However you guys want to handle it is fine. Here's the deal. Number one, for the self-confidence, for the experience thing, and yes, I do have a lot of weird experience, and it's been interesting, and sometimes it's been great and not, and whatever, but it was all great as you look back over it. Some of it I almost wish I hadn't done, blah, blah, blah. But I didn't always have that experience, right? So I'm old now, and I've done a lot of different things, and I've tried a lot of different things, and I could have done, if I'd had the same job that entire time, I could have had a very similar kind of background if I'd chosen to, because I could have done nonprofit things, right? I could have volunteered for all kinds of things and gotten very similar experience. So anybody here, regardless of what you do for a living, could choose to create that background and create that experience for yourself. Just go find the right places to volunteer and you'll do it. So the experience is easy for you to fix. 2, the confidence can't help you a ton there. I will say, get over it because you're awesome. And you just need to decide that. That's my thing. Decide that you're awesome, and then you will start rising to the occasion, right? And then start doing the things that you would do if you were awesome. And then you will succeed at some of them, and you will fail at something. And then when you fail, you will not die. So then that'll make it better. And you'll be able to do more and more stuff. So just do stuff and force yourself to do stuff and force yourself to ask people. And then you'll just naturally get more and more awesome, or at least in my case, for example, more and more confident. And you're right, I have zero lack of confidence. And and part of that is natural. And it would be that way no matter what, because of the way I was raised and whatever. But a lot of it has been built up, and I have my dark times and all that. You know, I had depression. You know, for a year, I had a very serious depression and looked great, but didn't feel great. Right? You just have to fight through it. So, fight through it. How do you do it? The mechanics. I love that you asked that because I love to nerd out on some of this stuff. Let me give you one. I'm going to give you. This is such a powerful secret that I've never seen anywhere, and I discovered it in this, maybe a little bit before this, but for my advisory committee, my advisory board, and then for the advisory boards we create for these telethons, and I use it in a variety of different ways for a variety of different things. I send the email, and it includes a variety of things. It's why it's important. It's for this issue, why they should care about it. I do that. But here's the ask. The ask is, I want you to be on the advisory board, which, you know, that's just not very threatening, right? It's not even I don't know, there's so many other things. There's planning committee, and there's other things that seem like it's tougher. So advisory board just sounds easier. And then I say, and here's what I'm specifically asking you. And like, this is almost word for word what I'm telling you. Here's the specific ask, Bob or Mary or whatever. And by the way, is everybody good? Because some people are frozen. Okay, not everybody is. Okay, good. But like, Katie, you're frozen.
I'm frozen. It's because I'm taking notes.
Okay, good.
I'm still here.
Sure you can see me. Good. I'll tell you a story later about a guy who talked to himself for 20 minutes on one of these things if you want to hear it. But hey, Bob, here's the actual ask, Bob. Pay attention to emails. Help when you can and want to. Don't worry about it when you can't. That's the ask. And that is amazingly powerful, because then they know, oh, I don't have to worry about it if I'm not in the mood. Sometimes I even go that far. Parentheses, even if you're just not in the mood, right? Some people I do that, like if I know them and I know they're a pain in the butt or whatever, then I might do that. But that's a really powerful ask, word for word. That's the way to do that. And you can, shift that around a little bit for any number of things.
So, Katie, you said you had a follow-on question, and you might as well go to it.
Okay. So I'm curious, like, how do you use your advisory board, right? Like, I think that advisory boards or board of directors sound more common both with a nonprofit and also with, like, as companies get more officially established, right? I think, at least for myself, I'm a solopreneur. But I can see a lot of value out of having an advisory board. So I'm curious how you use them.
Yep, great, perfect, love it. I send an update at the beginning of each week. So we sent ours on Monday. And in that, I provide what we need. And usually it's only one or two things. There might be a handful of bullet points, but I keep it really as simple as I possibly can. It's always, we need customers. So here's who you should introduce me to. And it might be any number of other things like, I don't know, but that's a perfect example, right? And then I give them a bunch of other information of here's this, gosh, we made this many sales this week. And oh, here's this really cool thing. And by the way, I had this idea, and I think this idea is going to be worth millions of dollars to us, and whatever it is. I mean, that's something I wrote this week. And so I give them some information that I think they're going to be interested in. If there's bad news, I give them the bad news, right? Because you want them to know that you're being honest with them. That's extremely important. Then, so that is a relationship builder. I hear very few responses from that. But I know they're reading.